guys, today I'm gonna be starting this video by saying something that I never thought I would say. I got PR from Urban Decay. What? This is their new Wired eyeshadow palette. I couldn't be more excited right now because I was gonna buy this palette anyway, and then they reached out and they asked if I wanted to receive this in PR, and I was like, oh my god, yes please! So that is what we're gonna be doing today, and like I said, I am just so excited because this is like a big moment for me, and I feel like a big moment for my channel as well. And I know I say this all the time, but literally, thank you guys. I wouldn't be here without you. And this is just like, this palette means so much to me because it's almost like a milestone, I guess, in my journey here on YouTube, because it is by far the biggest brand that's ever sent me anything, and I'm just so grateful. So I can't wait to dig into this. This is what the palette looks like. Did I even show you the outside of it? Here's what it actually looks like. And so it's not bulky, but it's not like the most sleek packaging, but it is made out of plastic, which I feel like this is going to be really sturdy, and I could actually see myself like traveling with this without worrying about it breaking and being too fragile, which with a lot of the indie shadows that I have, I wouldn't even imagine traveling with those palettes because the shadows are just so delicate. But I feel like I could easily travel with this, and this would be a great travel palette because it is a rainbow palette, so you have like all your options in here. So I think we should go ahead and swatch this. This palette is going to be available the day that I'm putting up this video, which should be on Valentine's Day. So if you are interested in this palette and I end up giving it a good review, fingers crossed, it will be listed down in my description box if you want to go check it out. So I'm gonna go ahead and swatch the shadows that are supposedly eye safe first, and then I will swatch the last four, which are the pressed pigments after, just so you can kind of separate the two. So I definitely have some thoughts after swatching these shadows. I will say that I have played with quite a few like neon pigments in the past, and I felt like some of these shadows kind of swatch like neon pigments usually do, in that they definitely don't stick to your arm as well as like say a normal eyeshadow, because they just don't have enough binder in them. And the reason for that is just because you cannot make a neon shadow to be very pigmented and neon while still having a lot of binder. I don't know why that is, but it basically just means that all of these shadows, or at least most of them, there's a couple here that I felt like didn't need it, especially like the green. The green is a shimmer, and also the purple, the dark purple is more of like a satin shade, so I feel like those two are going to be totally fine. Also, like the dark blue seemed really, really nice, but like I was trying to say before I went on to that ramble, basically I feel like all of these are going to need a very tacky base in order to have something to hang on to the eye, and I also don't think that these are going to be like the most blendable and buildable shadows, but we're gonna test it out and see, you know, what happens. But if that is the case, I'm not going to be surprised. So let's just go ahead and prime and get into this, because I just want to test out some of these. So I'm going to take my Natasha Denona eyeshadow base, which is what I've been using all the time lately. So I'm noticing just from wiping my arm here that I definitely have a little bit of staining left just from like these three warmer shades, which is pretty common, and it's definitely why, you know, these are marked as not eye safe, because they can stain. So I think what I want to do today is I want to do a bit of a kind of Valentine's-y look, I suppose, because it is Valentine's Day today, so I might as well. So I'm thinking either I'm going to use Slow Burn or even Savage in my crease and then deepen it up with the purple. So I guess since it is Valentine's Day, let's go in with the pink. So this one is called Savage, and there's quite a bit of kick up in the pan here, which is to be expected after touching these and swatching them. So let's just go ahead and build up a crease using this color here. And it's going on the eye very nice and pigmented here. So I feel like this went on the eye super easily. I do think that maybe the color is a little bit lighter on the eye than it is in the pan itself. Like it's coming off a bit more on the pastel side, which I don't mind that. I think it actually looks really, really pretty, and it's exactly what I'm going for today. But I don't think that this is like a neon pink. I almost feel like it's more of a hybrid between a pastel and a neon. Is that even a thing? I don't know, but I really do like the color of this. So I would love to hear from any of you guys if you end up getting this palette, how you feel about this compared to the electric palette. Now, I haven't been into makeup for that long. I would say probably about 3 years now, seriously. So I missed out on the electric palette, and it's one of those palettes that I really wish I had in my collection, because everybody has been talking about that palette for such a long time, and I never got to experience the hype of that. So I really wish I had that so I could kind of compare the two and see if, you know, they're the same formula and whatnot. Maybe I should just look that up. I feel like someone must have made a video about that already. So I feel like this looks really, really nice. Like I was saying, I'm not sure if this comes up as true to pan on the eyes. Like I do feel like it's a little bit lighter. I think if you want this to show up like brighter, you could use a white base. I've said this in many videos, but using a white base is not really my thing. I don't really enjoy that. So I'm just gonna have to deal with the consequences of not using a white base. So next up, I'm gonna go into Gravity here, which is the dark purple. And I think that this is going to be a really, really nice deepening shade here. So I'm first going to put it in the outer corner of my lid. I can definitely see some sheen to this color, and it's, I would say, almost more of a shimmer than a matte, but we're just gonna have to see how this goes. I feel like this is one of the few colors that were dark enough for me to use as a deepening shade. I do consider this palette to be more of a companion palette rather than a standalone, because it doesn't really have like a lot of very deep shades, which I like to have in my eye looks, but this is definitely going on the eye very nicely here. And this is definitely a palette that I feel like I need to play more with to really get a good idea of the formula in this. So I'm gonna just put it out there right now that I am going to do more looks with this. Usually I don't promise that in my first impression videos, but I do think I want to prioritize this a little bit and just make sure that I get a good opinion about the formula in this palette before I give you like my final thoughts, because so far, I'm just like, I'm not sure what all of the colors in this palette are like, you know what I mean? Because they swatched so differently, and there is also quite a few different formulas in this palette, so I do want to make sure that I give it a good test run here before I really give you my thoughts. So just keep in mind that this is just a first impression, and I will give you some more thoughts down the line. So I think this looks really nice. I am gonna go back in with that pink just to make sure that these two colors are blended, because like I said, the purple is more of a satin, so I am going to make sure that I blend this out properly here so I don't have like this streak in my crease. So I think that looks a lot better. I'm gonna take a little bit more of this purple and just bring this into my lid a bit. And then I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the green on my lid because it is the only shimmer in this palette. And I'm personally not the biggest fan of doing like all matte eye looks, and I feel like every time I try to do an all matte eye look and I do like a half cut crease and stuff, it just never ends up looking that good because I just don't feel like I'm that good at it. So I don't want this eye look to end up looking bad because I just don't really feel like I'm confident in what I'm doing, you know? So I'm gonna go ahead and take the green. I don't want to do a cut crease because I want to see how this layers over the shadows that I've already put down. Like I want to see how intense this is, how pigmented it is, and just how well it's going to layer. So I'm gonna spray that with some Fix Plus here just to make sure I don't have any fallout and that this is going to be opaque enough to hopefully layer nicely on top of this. So this isn't going to be like a complicated look or anything like that, but I just want to test out some of the shadows and just see how they perform. So that is a beautiful color. I definitely wouldn't call this a metallic shadow. I would say that this is definitely just a shimmer, but I do feel like it is opaque enough that I definitely did not have to do a cut crease with this. It is taking a little bit of time to build up, but I feel like that is a beautiful color. That looks so good with my hair. Like that is my hair color. Like that's kind of crazy. That's cool though. I really like the color combination of these. So I'm just trying to kind of blend this color into my crease here and make everything look nice and seamless. I don't really want this to look like a cut crease. I wanted to kind of just flow together, and I feel like that looks really nice. I'm gonna take a bit more of that purple just to make sure that it is blended in the outer corner as well as that everything is blended together in my crease here, and then I'll probably dip into the pink as well just to do the same thing one last time. So I do want to try out a couple more shades here on my lower lash line. I already feel like I should put down some eyeshadow primer before I go in with the shadow because I have felt these, I did swatch them, I kind of know what to expect. Like I've played with colors like this in the past and I just don't feel like they're going to stick to the eye that well, but I am going to try it first without an eyeshadow primer. So I'm going to first dip into Chaos and I'm going to put that in the outer corner of my lower lash line and just kind of connect that to the purple that I have going on here. and just smudge that about 2/3 of the way in. So I can tell that it's going on the eye like pigmented at first, but then as soon as I go and try to blend it out, the color just kind of fades and doesn't stick properly, which, like I was saying, I was expecting that. So I am going to take a bit of my Natasha Nona base underneath my eye as well, like I was saying. And this doesn't mean that the shadows are bad, it's just the way that neon shadows and bright shadows tend to be formulated sometimes. And yeah, not every brand's colors are like this, but sometimes it's something that I've just kind of come to accept, that this is what you have to do to make these colors really pop. And I really just think it depends on what kind of expectation you have for the shadows before you start using them. Like if I hadn't swatched this palette and I didn't know how the shadows felt, this probably would have annoyed me a little bit and I would have been disappointed because I didn't expect this to happen, if that makes any sense. But since I had already swatched these and I knew that they felt kind of powdery and they didn't swatch the best and build the best on my hand, that's kind of how I have to treat them on my eyes as well. So I'm gonna go back in with that brush that I was using first and take a little bit more of that dark blue and just pack this on where I put down that eyeshadow base, and it should stick a whole lot better this time around. Like I feel like these kind of mattes are the kind of mattes that you really don't want to be over blending. They're going to perform a lot better just in a very simple look. Like if you want to do a, you know, 1 or 2 eyeshadow look, I feel like that's going to be a better way to go with shadows like these. Or you could of course use them along with like other shimmers and stuff like that, or even other mattes in your collection. I'm not sure, like I was saying, that this is necessarily a standalone palette, and I think that some people might have a little bit of a hard time working with this palette if they're not used to using neon pigments or pigments in general. And I also think that maybe for some people this wouldn't be worth the effort, and that there are, you know, other brands that maybe have similar colors that are going to be a little bit easier to work with. It really just depends on what you are looking for in your eyeshadows. I'm just gonna take this fluffy brush and blend out the edges here. And as you can tell, I left a little bit of room just in my inner portion here because I do want to use that sort of chartreusey color because it just looks really pretty and I want to test it out. So you can see how much better it stuck to my lower lash line now that I used an eyeshadow primer. And just to finish off, I'm gonna dip into Jolt, which is this kind of chartreusey color. I just want to try it. It just looks so pretty. Probably doesn't go with my eye look, but honestly, I don't really care. So I'm gonna pop that in the inner portion of my lower lash line here, and that is a stunning color. Oh, that is really pretty. I'm such a sucker for a color like this. I just think that these kind of colors are so fun. So I think this is gonna be it for these shadows. I do want to pop a little something in my inner corner, so I'm gonna take my Semi-Sweet Super Shock shadow from ColourPop. This is the collaboration that they did with Halo Top, and I love Halo Top, so I just thought that that was fun, the only reason why I bought it. So I'm gonna pop a little bit of this in my inner corner. I'm going to do something in my waterline. I might just kind of match my waterline to my inner corner and use Freak, also by Urban Decay. So I'm gonna do that, do some liner mascara, and then I'll come back and I will kind of tell you my first impression thoughts on this palette. Okay, so this is the look all done. I did use some blue mascara on my lower lash line just because I can and because it's kind of fun. This is my blue Bad Gal Bang by Benefit, and then I went with a very bright pink lip. I don't know. I feel like it goes with this look. I just wanted something fun. I can't help it. I mean, this palette is so fun that I felt like it deserved a fun lipstick. That's probably a weird way to think about it, but that's what it's like to be in my head. So for my lipstick, I used my Dial Up lip liner from ColourPop, and on top I used my Anna's Sweet lipstick in the shade F202. So let's talk a little bit more about this palette now. I will say, I don't think that this is a beginner-friendly palette. I feel like it's maybe a little bit tricky to work with if you're not used to working with pressed pigments that are like this. Like I was saying before, I'm for sure going to do more looks with this because I want to get a better idea of what the formula on all of these shadows are like, because today I only used, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, I think, which I mean is still pretty good, but I definitely feel like I need to just play with this palette a little bit more. First impression, it's not my favorite formula of like neon and very bright pressed pigments, but I do feel like I got a really cute and pretty look out of it. So that's going to be my thoughts to just like start off. Like I said, this is not a review, it's just a first impression. I do need to play more with this, but so far I would say I like it, but it's a little bit finicky and it's not something that I would reach for if I'm like short on time and stuff. This is definitely the kind of palette that you want to take your time with if you want to get like a full complete eye look using only this palette out of this. So yeah, hopefully you guys want to see more looks with this because that will be coming. I can't promise when, hopefully in the next couple of days at some point. I'm going to try to get it up as soon as I can. So that's going to be it for my first impression with the Wired palette. Thank you again so much to Urban Decay for sending me this. I really appreciate it so much. It's something that I never thought would happen to me, so I'm just so grateful. So that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see some other first impressions that I have, you can click on one of these, and if you're new, I would love it if you would consider subscribing, and I will see you in the next one.